here we go. The messy, messed up Mormon moment is what I am calling this. Now, I've been watching The Bachelor for 21 years, not every single time, but I was there for the very first one, Trista and Ryan. If you guys remember that really dates me. These headlines: Taylor Frankie Paul's Bachelorette season canceled. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, we're going to go through it a little bit, because Taylor Frankie Paul is one of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives women and the original founder of Mom Tok. And of course, this is all part of the Mormon moment, because Mormonism is baked into all of these programs. And if you remember, at the end of last week's newscast, I said, don't forget to watch, the new Bachelorette with Taylor Frankie Paul is going to be on Sunday. Well, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why, but these are just a fraction of the headlines. They were everywhere. There was a really good article, I thought, in the Salt Lake Tribune that kind of went through a brief timeline of exactly who this person is. If you have no idea and you want to be able to talk to your kids or grandkids about it, I'm going to give you a little rundown so you can understand why it matters to the Mormon moment and what Mormons are saying, faithful Mormons who are actually weighing in kind of gleefully over this situation. It's kind of interesting. So Taylor Frankie Paul started Mom Tok, which is a group of moms. I believe they were in Draper. I knew they were kind of over in my neck of the woods in Utah, who in 2020, 2021 thought it'd be really fun to jump on TikTok and just start dancing, empowering women, being there for each other, and putting across a positive message. And there's a picture of some of them. There they are, just dancing, and they kind of got to be pretty popular. Had either of you ever heard of Mom Tok 6 years ago? Probably not. No.
Nope.
There you go. And a lot of people hadn't, but there were enough people following it that when in 2022, Taylor Frankie Paul made another TikTok where she was not dancing, and she told everybody that indeed a lot of the Mom Tok moms and their husbands had been soft swinging together. She came out and confessed this and said that her marriage was over. She had caught feelings. That's a new word, a new phrase that I learned, for another one of the men in the group. And it all kind of went to hell in a handbasket. So this really put them on the radar, because people are always curious about Mormons. They're curious about sister wives scenario. They, of course, think Mormons are very straight-laced. So this idea that they would be doing something, non-conventional was a little intriguing. And also, what is soft swinging? Everybody wanted to know. And so there was a whole bunch of, interest in that, a lot of things in different social media about that. And I think we reported on it. I think when they decided to make it into Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, because this would have been too early, 2022. So that's exactly what happened. The next thing we knew, we all thought, oh, okay, well, this is just a hot mess scenario going on here in Utah, is we hear that they're going to be getting a show, right? Because it's so intriguing and so interesting. And they've added some more women to the original group, and it's going to be called Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And I do remember when we first started reporting on that. Do you guys remember that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Any recollection?
Vaguely.
Yes, vaguely.
It's so Mormon, and this is the Mormon moment in terms of people are interested in Mormonism and Mormon people doing weird things, and they will tune in to watch them.
Yep, that's it. You absolutely hit it on the head. That is what the Mormon moment is. So there's news that there's going to be a show, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. They've added some more women. They're all Mormon adjacent. Some are active wearing garments, going to the temple. Others have kind of stepped away, but it's seeped in Mormonism. And the women have been culturally informed by being raised in Mormonism. Well, before the show could even air, there was this very disturbing thing that happened where Taylor Frankie Paul I believe she was actually, arrested. There were charges for domestic violence at her house. There's a picture of her outside, her boyfriend Dakota, and we just sort of learned hazy details, some throwing of some chairs, some things like that. She was intoxicated. This is the entire police report, which if anybody cares, they can freeze on it and they can read it. But it was just the officers interviewing Dakota and Taylor. And of course, neighbors had called it in. There was a lot of yelling and screaming. At one point, Taylor was up on top of Dakota's truck and then throwing a wooden play set. It was just, it was just a lot. But again, all we did is we heard these allegations and we heard that she was going to be put on parole and then the show was going to go forward. We were kind of like, well, that's interesting. Still going to do the show, even though all this happened. And I think that made a lot of us go, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as they said. Maybe some things were embellished. We don't really know. Here's some more of the police report. So the first, and I guess if you look back here, I don't know if it says anything RFM, but as I understand it from the article, there were charges and they were kind of deferred, held in abeyance. Is that what that means? And then she was on parole for 3 years. Do you have anything to say about that? Just that vague amount of information I gave you?
Yeah, it sounds like it's a light kind of sentence. Up here, it'd be called a deferred sentence. Up
Yeah.
here, you plead guilty, and then it's deferred for a couple of years to make sure you do everything you're supposed to do treatment-wise and not get into any more trouble. And if you do that successfully, it'll be dismissed at the end of it. Other places may just continue the whole case over, but basically, it's a way to usually avoid jail time, but get a little treatment and hopefully clean up your act.
Yeah, and I think that was the case here, and I think that's why we all thought, there must not have been too much to it. She was put on a parole for 3 years, just has to kind of keep her nose clean and not have anything else happen except for a minor traffic ticket. And her child was involved in this scenario, witnessing the domestic violence and then kind of accidentally being hit by a chair, is what it said in the report. But she didn't lose custody. Nothing like that happened. So I think most of us just thought, well, I mean, ABC's continuing with the show. She didn't lose custody. How bad could it be? Well, we're about to find out how bad it actually was. So the first season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives comes out in 2024. Of course, you guys know that I've been reporting on this ad nauseum here on the newscast because I do see it as an important Mormon moment with the new kind of millennial Mormon. And down here, I have the church's statement. If you guys remember that, they didn't say anything specifically about the Secret Lives, but that was the same time that American Primeval was coming out.
Mhm.
And they said, there are some depictions of us in the media that are not accurate. Don't pay attention. But they actually did make a statement about being careful on social media. I think they also sensed that a Mormon moment was on its way. Do you remember that statement, Bill, when we went over that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. So, all right. So we have the first season here, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and it is an absolute hit. It goes crazy. People cannot get enough of these women and their drama and Utah and swig drinks and going to church and holding baby blessings and the baby daddies, and the patriarchy was another thing that kind of shone through in the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, because other people in the world weren't used to these, Mormon type men, right? And they were like, what are those husbands doing? So anyway, it was just a train wreck in a lot of ways and absolutely fascinating. I have to say I have watched every episode of every season, simply for research purposes for the newscast. Yeah, that's my excuse there. So then we have 2025, right? The second season comes out of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Taylor Frankie Paul and the same man, Dakota, that she was involved in that original domestic violence with in 2023, have a child together. They're not married, but they do have a child. They're on again, off again. That's a lot of the drama in the second season. And then we have a third season that is released very quickly in November. And that's when it's all very exciting. And it's announced that Taylor Frankie Paul, even though she has this on again, off again baby daddy, she's going to be the Bachelorette. Now, RFM was asking me, what the heck is the Bachelorette? And I'm assuming a lot of you guys know it's a program that's been on for over 21 years, and it kind of rotates. When there's a bachelor on who gets engaged to a woman, usually somebody who comes in second place is the next season's Bachelorette. They vie for the attentions of 30 or so people. And at the end, they're supposed to find their, one true companion.
So that's the whole point of this then. That's the whole point of the show.
To get engaged, to get married. Yes.
I'm just trying to get my head around 30 guys lining up to marry this woman.
I know. Well, and this is also what's interesting. Again, some of us kind of went, wow, that's really interesting. She does have that weird thing in her past, but that didn't seem to be much, I don't think. And then we thought, she does have 3 children, and she is, from the show on again, off again with Dakota, they can't seem to leave each other alone. So is she really Bachelorette material? But again, we all kind of assumed, well, ABC must know what they're doing. And of course, huge publicity, right? That she's going to be on there. So she is going to film this. And the season is going to come out. She films it successfully. Of course, they keep it secret. Did she get engaged? Did she find her one and only?
So they filmed the whole season? I mean, the whole series for this
It's already
year?
done. That's why this is so shocking. It's
Of
already
Bachelorette.
done. Yes. The Bachelorette is already filmed. It's already ready. I don't know that it's completely all edited. I did hear that they sometimes maybe do 3 at a time, and then they'll change editing depending on, fans gravitating toward a certain person. Maybe they'll put that person forward. But yeah, it was all ready to go. And during season 4 of Secret Lives, that was announced and it's all ready to go. And now they're filming season 5, right? All of a sudden, last week, there are these headlines that say filming is halted, right, for the next season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because Taylor Frankie Paul is involved in recent allegations of domestic violence, and the other women are not comfortable filming with her anymore, or they want to protect their careers from exposure to her anymore. So filming grinds to a halt, right? So there's another domestic violence incident with the same couple, Taylor Frankie Paul, also known as TFP, and Dakota Mortensen. And this time, I believe the allegations, again, when I talk about this, it seems to be very one-sided as far as the actual physical part of it. Taylor is the aggressor physically. There hasn't really been anything that has come out showing that Dakota, the male, has been the aggressor. This is one of those situations where the female is aggressive. And sometimes that is hard for people to wrap their head around, and really understand what it is. So in this incident, which was the 24th and the 25th of February, just a few weeks ago, apparently she tried to choke him with a chain, like a necklace. And apparently, and I don't know if you know anything about this, RFM, I was reading about it, but when choking happens in domestic violence, statistics show that can escalate really quickly further down the road. And so they take that very seriously, and that can have more of a weight to it when they're considering what to do. So it's according to court documents, let's see. Yeah, there it was. There was a choking incident. So anyway, the women said, we're not comfortable filming with her anymore. And then right after this happened, right after these charges come out and everybody finds out that she had some kind of an altercation the end of February, the video is released from that incident back in February 2023 that no one had seen before. And this happened on March 19th. The video is put out. No one has seen the video. We've just read those descriptions. In your experience, RFM, in trial, a video is very different from just reading a very clinical description, isn't it?
Yeah, and if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000.
Yeah. Nobody had even seen pictures of this. And in fact, she's been married before. She has 2 children with, what's his name? Tate Paul. And he had asked to see this video. A lot of people said, why would you not get your children out of the home if you knew about this back in 2023? He was not allowed to see the video. And it was very much downplayed by Taylor and I think maybe even law enforcement. So nobody really knew the extent of it. But somehow, of course, everybody's accusing Dakota. I feel like I'm talking about a soap opera here, a Mormon soap opera. Everyone's accusing Dakota of having put that video out, selling it to TMZ. We don't know where it came from. We just know that no one was allowed to see it prior to March 19th. And the video is extremely hard to watch. It's extremely difficult. She's very intoxicated. There's lots of screaming. She's attacking him over and over. He keeps saying, please let me leave. Please let me leave. Her daughter is on the couch. And when she throws one of the 3 chairs that she throws, the chair hits the child. And the child starts crying. At that point, a lot of people have to stop watching. It's very difficult to hear a child crying. And Taylor does not go and help her child. At that point, Dakota says, go help your child. She's hurt. She won't. She goes back at him, keeps attacking. I mean, it's the worst, one of the worst things I think I've ever seen. And at that point, on the very same day, the 19th, it's canceled. Her premiere of The Bachelorette that is supposed to happen in just a few days, this is Thursday, and Sunday, it's over. They're not going to do it. And they put it out to all the media that it's canceled. And on that very same day, it's very interesting. Dakota goes to get a restraining order. And while he's there at the courthouse, he runs into her first husband, also trying to get a restraining order. Completely unplanned. There they are. I know. It's actually not even really funny. And they both get their restraining orders. And he also asked that he would be given custody of their son together. They have the little boy together. And he did get custody until a further trial date, which is going to happen in April. So it's just very interesting. Let's see, what did I say here? Yep, there it is. Lots of video. Yeah, and again, everybody's just reeling from this. Nobody knows what to think. And the Mormon moment, it couldn't get messier. Now, she put out a statement here, And she kind of basically said that she has been being abused for years mentally. And it finally came to, kind of trying to paint him as some kind of, an aggressor. But it's really difficult when you have the charges from February, end of February, new charges, and then you have these prior charges and you have this video. She's been spotted here in Utah. She's kind of doing her own thing. She's been engaging with fans on social media and just saying, well, of course I'm still out here. What do you want me to do? Stare at a wall? There she is again, out shopping. There's a picture of the banner being taken down. Now, this is the gentleman who she did, I guess, get engaged to at the end of the Bachelorette. Like you asked, RFM. Yes, it's all done. It was going to be aired. This is Doug Mason, 28 years old, an ocean lifeguard trainer and musician from San Diego, California. However, it looks like in January, they broke it off. He flew out to Utah to visit her again, and it's over. And she's back with Dakota. Hence the incident that happened in February.
Does that have anything to do with their canceling the season? Has this happened before? Where
Never.
they break off the engagement before the season runs?
Yes. The engagements have been broken off before, of course. Often they'll wait till the season's played, but the engagements do break off. But this has never happened that a season has been canceled. And of course, it's going to cost ABC millions of dollars, advertising and people that have already paid for sponsorship on the show. I mean, it's just unprecedented. And a lot of people are saying The Bachelorette is canceled. Is Secret Lives over too? Is this part of the Mormon moment going to go away? And what I thought was interesting is that here's a little thing I came across that Jasmine did on Saturday. Woke up bright and early and did a live on Is It All Over? She's done a couple of things about this. So she seems pretty interested, and you may be like, hey, the Mormon moment, at least for these guys, is going to be over. So that just kind of gets you guys up to speed. Let me see if there's any.
I feel like there's a place in the cast now that Jasmine could maybe take over.
Well, it's true. She's always saying these aren't real Mormon women, and let's show everybody what a real Mormon woman is. So anyway, it's very messy, but I think RFM, your expertise is interesting because she was on probation for 3 years until, next August, I think. Yeah. Would these latest charges in February cause a problem for her as far as having to go back to go to jail or to lose custody? What does this mean exactly?
Well, probation doesn't have anything to do with custody unless the family law judge says it does. And the film was enough for him to give immediate temporary custody to the dad pending trial. He switched everything. I'm guessing she had custody before this.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're throwing chairs at the priesthood in your house and you end up hitting your kid in the face, you're probably going to lose custody really quick. And that's what happened here. Yeah. Her being on parole for 3 years, this is a new charge. I'm sure it's a violation of a parole. She will have to answer to consequences for the new charge as well as any consequences for the violation of her parole on the previous charge.
Yep. No, thanks for explaining that because, it is interesting. And for people that say, oh, why even talk about this? She's not really LDS. Well, the last season ended in a big baby blessing of her child. So yes, Mormonism is all throughout this program and the scenario. And it is Mormon moment. So.